If you are an Epicurean with a considerable amount of cash to splash, then your palate may have already perused the unique flavor of Alma's Beluga caviar. But if this rare delicacy is a new experience for you, you're in for a treat. This is the most expensive food in the world, and it costs $34 million per kilogram. But what exactly makes up this luxurious specialty? Join us as we take a deep dive into the rich history of Alma's Beluga caviar and discover what features make it so expensive. We will begin by examining what caviar actually is before we move on to the particularities of this ultra-high-end item. The word caviar actually means fish eggs. However, not all fish eggs are the same. Caviar can only refer to the eggs of certain fish species. For example, lumpfish, smelt, and paddlefish do not count. Only sturgeon eggs qualify as true caviar. There are many species of sturgeon, but the largest and rarest is the beluga sturgeon. These massive fish can grow over 20 feet long and weigh more than 1,000 pounds. This size allows them to live for 100 years or more. They are known for their graceful movement through the water, somewhat reminiscent of dolphins. Unfortunately, they are a critically endangered species due to overfishing and poaching. Because they are slow-moving, the beluga sturgeon are particularly vulnerable to extinction. Their biggest predator is man. Beluga sturgeon were first captured in the Caspian Sea hundreds of years ago. At that time, the Romans had just taken control of Egypt, and Cleopatra was enjoying her last days as the Queen of the Nile. Because of their enormous size and longevity, beluga sturgeon were revered as living jewels of the sea. Even today, these elusive creatures are seldom seen outside of the Caspian and Black Seas. While there was some trade of beluga caviar in the United States, Russia, France, and China, these shipments were small because of the limited number of beluga sturgeons over the centuries. People developed a taste for caviar and the demand began to rise, which led to increased fishing efforts. In the 18th century, smugglers would go to great lengths to get their hands on this luxury food. In 1798, a smuggler named Anton Velazzi risked his life and crossed the Neva River in St. Petersburg. He delivered the goods to a customer who paid him an exorbitant amount of money, equivalent to nearly $160,000 in today's value. In those days, caviar was rented as a sign of power and wealth. It could also be used as a bribe. During World War II, Soviet leader Joseph Stalin enjoyed a diet consisting mainly of caviar, vodka, and chicken. One day he demanded to know where his favorite caviar was. When he was told it had been exported to France, he ordered the shipment recalled and sent it to his personal chef. During the Cold War, the US imposed an embargo on caviar imports from the Soviet Union. But even during this time, beluga caviar continued to find its way to American shores. Some people even claimed that Jackie Kennedy's famous recipe for baked Alaska included beluga caviar. Perhaps she was using the American substitute hackleback sturgeon. Although not as good as beluga, hackleback is easily accessible in the United States and has a similar appearance and taste. Incidentally, this type of caviar is much less expensive and costs about $100 per pound. Now let's return to the Della Almas beluga caviar. This extremely rare form of caviar is farmed in the remote regions of the Caspian Sea. To be precise, the sturgeons are raised in the foothills of the Ural Mountains. Here they are free to swim in unpolluted waters and enjoy a constant supply of fresh oxygen. The company that farms this premium product is run by brothers David and Simon Caviari. Together, they manage a staff of 300 employees. Each worker must pass a background check and sign a confidentiality agreement before they can work at the farm. And while they won't say exactly where they are, we do know that it is somewhere in the northwest of Kazakhstan, a landlocked country bordered by Russia, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and China. In addition to signing an NDA, each buyer must also pay a non-refundable deposit of $25,000. After purchasing the caviar, they will receive an invitation to come to the farm and pick up their order. As soon as the client steps foot on the premises, however, they are prohibited from taking any photos. If they violate this rule, they will forfeit their order and be banned from ever doing business with Almas. This exclusivity is part of what makes beluga caviar so expensive. But another reason why it is one of the most expensive foods in the world is because of its distinctive flavor. Compared to other types of caviar, beluga has a softer texture and a larger grain. Its taste is buttery and nutty with a hint of saltiness. Unlike other caviars, it is not salty or fishy. Since beluga sturgeons are wild-caught, their diet consists of smaller fish. These fish often contain parasites that can ruin a batch of caviar. Therefore, the eggs are carefully screened and any damaged ones are immediately removed. Only the highest quality eggs are allowed in the final product. While beluga caviar tastes delicious alone with a spoonful of butter or chopped onion, it can also be served with crepes, blinis, or on toast points. It is often paired with vintage champagne, and the best way to enjoy it is at room temperature. Now, while this exquisite delicacy is primarily associated with Russia, France, China, and the United States, Japan has recently become a popular destination for beluga caviar. Osaka is considered to be the caviar capital of Japan. One restaurant in the city offers a 5-ounce serving of beluga caviar for a whopping $25,000. That's the price of a luxury car. The rarity of the ingredient is partly due to the length of time it takes for the sturgeons to reach maturity. Sturgeons typically take around 100 years to reach sexual maturity. As a result, the global supply of beluga caviar is limited because there aren't very many adult sturgeons producing eggs. To make matters worse, the market is flooded with low-quality imitations. Anyone can sell caviars made from other types of fish, even though they don't contain sturgeon eggs. Since the demand for beluga caviar far exceeds the supply, scammers have found a way to make a profit by selling fake beluga. Of course, this isn't surprising, since the illegal wildlife trade is worth an estimated $19 billion annually. It is the fourth most profitable criminal activity after drug trafficking, human trafficking, and the arms trade. In order to combat the spread of counterfeit caviar, Almas has devised a clever system to track their product from the farm to the customer's table. Each kilogram of caviar is sealed with a special hologram sticker that contains information such as the weight of the package and the serial number. With this system, it's easier to spot fake caviar. Nevertheless, some shady businesses have figured out how to duplicate the stickers. So now Almas uses titanium capsules instead. Inside each capsule is a device called a track and trace system, or T2S. It contains a microchip and an antenna that responds to radio waves. This technology was originally developed by the French military. Once a customer purchases the caviar, they keep the packaging. If they decide to resell the product, they can use a special handheld scanner to transfer the caviar's digital identity to the new packaging. But how does the caviar get from the sturgeon to the jar? Well, when the sturgeon is harvested, care is taken to preserve the quality of the eggs. Immediately after being removed from the fish, the eggs are cleaned with cold, soapy water. Then they are placed in a container filled with a solution of salt and sugar. This mixture prevents bacteria from growing in the eggs. Finally, they are put into a mold and pressed against a fine mesh to remove any remaining debris. The caviar is now ready to be packaged. It is placed in a jar and covered with a thin layer of soybean oil. This helps to prevent the eggs from drying out. The jars are then sealed with a plastic lid. Almas Beluga caviar is shipped worldwide, but it's most popular in Asia. Many people believe that eating caviar brings good luck, so it is often served at important events like weddings and New Year's. In recent years, beluga caviar has also become popular among Korean and Chinese consumers. Due to the growth in popularity, Almas plans to expand production from 66 pounds to 110 pounds of caviar per year. Now that you know a little more about the history of Almas Beluga caviar, what do you think of this pricey dish? Would you try it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Please like and share this video if you enjoyed watching it. Thank you for watching and see you next time.